Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. In the last few videos, we explored different types of loops, the for loop, while loop, do while loops. Today we are looking loops to the next level by learning about the nested loops. Now you might be wondering what exactly is a nested loop? Well, it's simply a loop inside another loop. And trust me, once you understand this concept, you will be able to solve some really interesting problem from creating patterns to working with the multi-dimensional data. So let's dive into code. Okay. First question is, what are nested loops? A nested loop is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you place one loop inside another loop. The inner loop will complete all of its iteration for each single iteration of the outer loop. Okay, it's the sounds it's little bit scary and complicated, but don't worry. Yeah, you see, it's called this is one loop and this is another loop. It's called insert loop. This is a outer loops. Okay, this is a one loop. This is another loop. So okay, let's understand what is happening here actually. This is our outer actually we have an outer loop with the variable I, right, that runs from 1 to 3 inside it, right. Inside it we have an inner loop, and this variable j that also run into 1 to 3. Here is the key thing you to understand. For each iteration of the outer loop, the inner loop completes all of its iteration. So when I is 1, the inner loop runs completely from j equal 1 to 3. Then I becomes 1. I becomes 2. And again, the inner loop runs from 1 to 3. It's continuous until the outer loops finish. What it means, the outer would be I equal 1. Okay. Then in the inner, j equal 1. Then okay, it's 1. Just given a 3 dots for this, understood. This is one iteration. Okay, and again I equal 1. Remember, I equal 1, j equal 2. Okay, this is another. Then again I equal 1 and j equal 3. Okay, I hope you got the answer, and this is the actually happening here. One loop, this is outer loop, and this is inside loop. Okay, so a total of 9 lines, because 3 times 3 equals 9, right? 3 times 3 equal 9. So this is complicated. Try to understood. Do more practice, individual practice with a single regular loop and inside loop. Then complicate. Then comparing with this pattern, and I hope you will get your answer. And it's not that much scary first time, but sorry, when you are implemented in the real example. But right now it's a little bit complicated. But so do more practice, and you get your answer, and your mind will be clear. I hope so. So next is the practical example. Okay, let's look at a more practical example. We will create a multiplication table using nested loop. Multiplication table first. This code create a 5 is to 5. 5 is to 5 multiplication table. The outer loop represent the rows and the inner loop represent the columns. Okay, for each row. We calculate the product and add it to our rows string with a tab character for spacing. Okay, then the output will be a nicely formatted multiplication table where you can see 1 is to 1, 1 is to 2, 1 is to 3 in the first row, then 2 is to 1, 2 is to 2, 2 is to 3 in the second row, and so on. Okay, so we can check. Okay, open your terminal and let's see what is the output what is the output we get from from our terminal. Remember the code structure. Okay, this is the code structure. this is our row inside in this outer row. Okay, and the row will be console log. Okay, so go to terminal, node, and then our file name is nestedloop.js and enter. You see 1 2 3 4 5, then 1 2 3 4 5, 2 and 4 6 8 10, and 3 6 9 12 15. Okay, it's get the answer what you actually want, right? And this slash t is a tab character used to add a horizontal spacing in the string. You see there is a space and it's actually look like a table format, right? Okay, next, pattern printing. Nested loop are perfect for creating patterns. Let's create a simple star pattern, and maybe we already tested it before, maybe, if I'm not wrong. This is our star pattern, and actually this create a right angle triangle pattern. In the first row we print 1 star, in the second row 2 star, in the third row 3 star, and so on. Notice how the inner loops condition depend on the outer loops variable. It's run from 1 to I. Okay, so this is one. And okay, another pattern is a square pattern. This is a square pattern. So we will check all the example in terminal because this is little bit complicated because it's a loop. So we check first this example in the terminal, save it, and go node nested loop. You see this is the first example and it's called star pattern. It's called star pattern. Okay, actually, yeah, it's called the star pattern. Star pattern patterns. Okay, and this is called the square pattern. This is a square pattern. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Wow, great, isn't it? Just the difference between here, if you look here, we are looping our insert loop is the j less than equal is I. You notice here is the I, but here we are putting the number, I mean integer value. So that's why it's rendered the square pattern, and here it's depending on the I, and that's why first 1, then 2 3 4 5. Okay, and this pattern called 4:4 is square of stars. Okay, both loop run the same number of times, right? Yes. Okay, great job. Now second is nested loop with the arrays. We didn't even cover up array yet, but future video you will get the array, the individual video for arrays, so don't worry. Okay, nested loop becoming incredibly useful when working with the two-dimensional arrays, which we'll cover it in details in the upcoming videos. But let me give you a preview one. This is important, okay? Please practice. This is called the two-dimensional array. How? You see the bracket, third bracket, and here is the another array. Here is 3 array, and in the 3 array is there is a one outer array. So yeah, then loop through matrix dot length I, and secondly is matrix in I. It means in this matrix, if in this array there is any array. Did you see array? So okay, so don't go in depth, just try to understand this. Here is the outer loop. It iterates through each row of the matrix. Each row, okay? 1 2 2 3, and the inner loop iterate through each element in that row. Each element in that row. This is how you traverse through a 2D array. Okay, this is a 2D array. So let's check in the console how it looks like. You see element at 0 and 0 1, and it's get the 1, then 0, and then 1, it's equal to, and then 3, and this is the example. And you see backtick and then element at and this is the I, and this is J. I means this is right. I is our outer loop, and J is our inner loop. Okay, then the matrix will be I and J. In the I and in this I row, first is row, then inner is element. First rows, first element. It's calculating 1, 2, 3. I mean 0, 1, 2, 3 indexing base. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Okay, next is our performance considerations. Now, here is something important to keep in mind. Nested loop can be computationally expensive. Think about it. If your outer loop runs 100 times and your inner loop runs 100 times, you are executing the inner code 10,000 times. Okay, this is what this is what we call time complexity. A nested loop typically has a O n squared 2 complexity, and it is okay. And it was the complexity loop type. O mean big O notation. It's actually DSA concept. So just try to understood n square. So it's n means linear and square is multiple. So big O notation concept here. Just which means the execution times grow quadratically with the input size. Okay. So more in depth, if I say, check this example. It's run 10,000 times because 10 here is also 10. So it's always runs in multiplication ways. Okay, you can even you can even have 3 or more level of nesting, but be very careful which additional level multiplication then number of iteration. This nested loop of 100 iteration each means 1 million executions. For now, just be aware that while nested loop are powerful, you should use them thoughtfully, especially with the large data sets. Okay. Okay, mixing loop types. You are not limited to use the same type of loop for nesting. You can mix and match a for loop inside a while loop or a while loop inside a for loop. You can do that without any limitation. You see, in while loop, there is a nested is the for loop, and but also the incrementations. This produce the same result as our first example. We already see the first example, right? And but use usage a while loop for the outer loop and the for loop for the inner loop. Okay, actually the choice of which loop type to use depend on your specific use case and the personal preference. Generally for loop are preferred when you know the exact number of iteration, and the while loops when the iteration depends on a condition. Okay, be careful. So before we wrap up, here is a challenge for you. Try to create a pattern that looks like an inverted triangle. Be careful. We already checked the Easter pattern, right? This is 1 to 5, right? Now the question is how you do this pattern format. Okay, pause the video and give it a try. Think about how the number of Easters relates to the row number. Okay, just think as a decrement. So pause the video. Okay, great. So I give you my solution. This is the solution, decrement way, right? And you get this answer. The key is to make the outer loop count downward from 5 to 1. Okay. So now the conclusion. All right. The nested loop. That's the nested loop. To recap, the nested loop are loops inside loops. The inner loop complete all its iterations for each iteration of the outer loop. They are perfect for working with the two-dimensional data, creating pattern and solving problems that have multiple level of iteration. In our next video, we will explore the break and continue statements, which give you even more control over your loops, including the nested loops. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop any question in the comments below. I will see you in the next video.
Hi
Bye
everyone.
bye.